been feeling really anxious lately about a whole lot of stuff. A lot of just kind of my current situation and future uncertainty, wanting to make certain moves and kind of drastically change my life situation, and just feeling a whole lot of anxiety about that. And got me thinking about a time, and this was several years ago now, that I was in a similar spot. I have all the reasons, all the same reasons to just feel anxious about the future and about the unknown, and I just didn't. And I think it was one of the first times I really felt like that. And the situation was, I had just graduated from college. I had recently left a job that I had, which it was just like some super shitty whatever job. It was not like a good career job or anything like that. Not that I have ever had that or know anything about that, but anyway, I didn't have income. I had gone out of town back to where the city I grew up in for a couple weeks, because I was teaching at a high school marching band for a couple weeks, and so that was my kind of little breather period where I had this kind of temporary job set up. I quit one job, I had that temporary thing set up, and then once I got back, I was going to have some leeway as far as money went, and I wanted to find another job. And what I really wanted to do, or at least what I didn't want to do, was just get another whatever job like I'd had before. Just doing that previous job was just like a shitty retail job. Before that, I had some shitty restaurant jobs. It was like that kind of stuff, and I really just wanted to get away from that. And so I was just exploring just some work from home type options, and or just freelancing type stuff, anything that I felt like I had some independence on. I didn't have to just go into some workplace and kind of deal with all that type of stuff. Be a little bit more on my own schedule, be able to work remotely or at home. Those are kind of my vague goals, and I was exploring a lot of options. There's definitely some like good real jobs like that require some degree of training or knowledge, like tech jobs and things like that I didn't have. So this is all just what somebody with zero skills, what's something that person could do to just work on their own and not have to just go into a job. And I was exploring options, various kind of equivalently shitty type jobs came up, but it was all stuff that I would prefer over having to be stuck in some building I hated. At least I could just be at home on my own doing this. And I did this for about a month. I was just exploring options. I was trying different things. I can't even remember all of what I found. There was stuff that was like transcribing things, like audio, listening to audio and transcribing that, or I don't know, just a lot of other little things like that. And nothing seems very solid. And a lot of this stuff, it seemed like there was some type of startup time, or it had the potential to be kind of more of a job, but it wasn't like you could just start and just be making money. And so I was just trying to figure all that out. And I remember one time just laying in bed, about to go to sleep, and I had a weird sensation of I was really out of my head, out of my kind of monkey mind, and I felt that I could feel my mind, just kind of the mechanics of it, in full kind of panic overdrive mode, just going, you know, you don't have a job, you're running out of money, you're trying to do this stuff, but there's no certain path to do it. So, you know, just kind of all the anxieties around that. But I didn't feel anxious at all. I felt completely separate from that. I could feel, it felt like a very physical sensation of my body just going into panic about this, because I didn't know, basically just having like this unknown in the future, which of course we all have all the time. But you know, just this monetary job type unknown. And I just felt so separate from this. You know, it felt like a very, very primal, you know, kind of like fight or flight type thing, like an evolutionary feeling or whatever, you know, when you don't know when your next meal is coming from, you know, back in the caveman days or whatever, just something like that. It just felt very physical. But you know, I felt like I was just watching this happen. I was out of myself a little bit, just kind of observing this happen, and I just thought, this is so weird that my mind and my body are panicking, and they're in this full anxiety mode, but I am not. And I just didn't feel anxious at all about it. And I just thought, this is so weird. And I kept feeling like being pulled in just a little bit. Like I would sit with it for a little bit, just thinking, wow, this is weird that I'm not anxious. And then I felt like my mind was trying to convince me to be anxious. So it was doing all right, well, I'm going to think about this thing to worry about, and if that's not going to get you, well, I'm going to change tracks and I'll think about this element of it. And it kind of, you know, it was like somebody trying and failing to convince me to be worried about something. And I would feel like pulled in for a second, and then like, okay, well, I didn't feel anxious about that, but now my brain is thinking about this new thing, and maybe I should feel anxious about that. But then, you know, I got kind of like sucked in just like a tiny bit, and then I just kind of remembered where, you know, where it kind of like came back out of that. As I zoomed out a little bit again, I got pulled in a little bit, and then I zoomed back out, and I remembered, oh yeah, I don't have to worry about this. This is just my body worrying, which it's just gonna do because it doesn't know what's gonna happen, and that's just kind of how it works sometimes. But I do not have to go along with that. And that went on for a while. I just kept thinking, another thought would pop up, and I wasn't actively trying to think of something. It was just kind of like I was on this autopilot of, all right, this thing, I'm gonna think about this thing, and this is my brain talking to me as I'm thinking of it. You know, you're not gonna worry about this, well, think about this thing, and that'll get you to worry. Oh, that didn't work, well, I'll try another thing. And that just went on for a while, and I just kind of, without really trying to, I just felt like I was out of it, I was above it, and it wasn't pulling me in. I felt, it was very freeing, especially for me, who definitely tend to just be in the full-on anxiety mode all the time. And at that point, which was up until that point, had one of the more unknowns in my life, you know, just being right out of school. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just trying to basically just learn how to be an adult for the first time. So it was a new enough situation, a lot more unknowns than I had ever really had before in life. And I felt like I had everything working against me, as far as I had all these reasons to feel bad and anxious. And I just didn't. And this feeling didn't last this entire time. You know, I definitely got pulled more into the anxiety, and, you know, the days that came after and all that type of stuff. But there was just this one night I really remember, and I think back to now when I can, just to remind myself that it's okay if your body is panicking, but you don't have to go along with it. And if you feel yourself being pulled in, I think you can just take a moment. If you feel you're in your head too much, just take a moment, come back out a little bit, just kind of feel, however you want to think about it, you know, coming out, I think of like coming outside of my head, kind of looking at myself from the outside, or just kind of expanding my viewpoint, that kind of thing. And I don't know, I think it's something that I should practice more, because I've been feeling, as I said, really anxious about a lot of future stuff, just like I did at that time. And I am getting sucked into the anxiety, and I'm not taking time to zoom out and just be okay with the circumstances, even when my body is in the anxiety mode. So anyway, I hope that hope someone can relate to that, or if not, maybe that gives you some strength to get through anxious situations, or just maybe something to think about when you feel like you're just being, you know, fully sucked into this panic and anxiety. And it's something I'm gonna try and remember and think back on, you know, during another anxious time of life. If it's something that I could do back then, that was, you know, almost 10 years ago at this point, it's definitely something I can do now. It's not like I guess in some ways it is a little bit like a skill, and I think I'm just a little bit out of practice with it. I'm just a little bit rusty in zooming out. I'm out of practice zooming out. So I'd like to get back into that.